Welcome back to the Why Are You Like That podcast. Hunter was supposed to do the intro, but he's refusing because he's a cuck.
Why he's fired.
You're
good.
off the team.
I don't feel
You're kicked out of the band.
We're putting the band back together.
We're putting the band back together.
I feel like shit, dude. Still.
Well,
Hunter's a little sicky.
take some of those emergency things or airborne or whatever they are.
Dude, I've been loading up on the fucking vitamin C just so he doesn't get me sick.
So you're just depriving him of vitamin C?
No, we each have like a bottle of vitamin C.
Oh, I thought you were like taking all of them so he couldn't take it.
Hold on. I have an important question, everyone.
Okay.
Do we have our safety sauce?
No. I'm a normal human
Ty.
being and put my shit in the kitchen.
Where's your safety hot sauce? Come on.
I don't have it.
We talked about this last episode.
I thought we were professionals.
No.
Look, I even have a backup.
Alex.
What the fuck? I got a backup. All right.
God.
Jesus Christ. Do you see
I'm
Meat
extra
Canyon's?
safe.
Do you see Meat Canyon's video on the Chick-fil-A sauce that he came out with a couple weeks back?
No.
Oh, it's fucking horrendous. You got to see it. It's
All his videos are.
it's so good.
We got quite a pack-filled episode this week, don't we?
Yeah, we're finally gonna cave into the can of worms and telling the saga of how me and Alex became friends. We've been teasing it for the past 10 episodes. So 9. So I figured we would go ahead and talk about it and let you guys take a peek behind the curtain kind of thing. And
so this is probably going to be a longer episode. But first things first, how's everyone doing? How's your guys this week been? We only talk now on these days.
No, we talked and hung out yesterday for a little bit. I mean, it's been a while since me, you, and Hunter have played games together, so I ended up getting V Rising and fuck G2A. I'm going to put that out there. Fuck G2A. The first time I get on this website suggested by Alex to buy V Rising, hell yeah, on Steam, $35. On G2A, $18 with the coupon
Was
from
it the
Honey.
plus?
And no. And I was like, all right, cool. Yeah, I can splurge and get that for a new
Honey
game.
is a real thing?
Yes, Honey is a real thing. It took like $3 off of my purchase. But I bought it, took the key code, and I put it in fucking Steam, and it's like, actually, you have to buy the game first before you can use this. And I'm like, wait a minute, what? And Alex is with me on Discord, and he's like,
Did you buy the DLC?
No, he's all, this company is known for like selling keys, duplicate keys and shit.
He got the one seller that like sold duplicate keys.
Did you go back at the seller?
Yeah. Okay. I put in for a refund, and they're really apologetic about it. And they're like, "Here you go. We'll submit your refund. We apologize."
I've bought so many games and still have never ran into that issue. Knock on wood.
Same here.
And it was my first time using
the only
this website.
time I've ever fucked up is when I bought the account rather than the game.
I have not done that because I almost did it once, and so I just read extensively now.
But yeah, we played V Rising for a bit yesterday. I'm liking it. It's pretty cool. It's fun.
It's a good game.
It is a very good game.
The developers really care. Oh, sorry, I didn't.
No, go ahead.
The developers really care about that game, and it shows. And that's why I appreciate it.
Yeah, I like it a lot. It's really cool. I like these indie developer games because they're 9 times out of 10 better than AAA games nowadays. So,
well, and what I liked about it, you didn't get to experience this part, Ty, is when it was in early access, it wasn't like here's early access and we'll update it when the full game comes out. They were putting updates. It was just
constantly.
It was getting regular updates.
Well, and that was another development team that understood, like, hey, you're gonna stop playing when you've done all the shit in the game. So like, I think it took like 2 or 3 years after the game came out for the first update to come out, like the first major update. And so they were like, yeah, like we get it, it's been a long time and we're sorry, but when they put it out, like it was a whole new section, like big stuff and everything. And so when the player community came back, like they went full fucking like sicko mode.
Sicko mode. All right.
And
listen
like,
to
well,
that fucking
because it was like
Zoomer
it was like 2 or 3 years for the first update, and then like the next year they put out the next big update, like because they got more people to be able to work on it and everything.
Yeah.
So it was
and
then
it reminds me a lot of like how they handled Subnautica. Subnautica is a single player game. It's not a multiplayer game, but they were, when it was out in early access, they were constantly updating it and shit. And it's weird how much I praise and like that game for having thalassophobia as bad as I do, but I still I think the fear and the mystery behind it is what drove me to keep playing.
It is intriguing.
And then once I ran into a ghost Leviathan, I was like, I'm done. I don't want to play anymore. I'm okay.
Did you at least
shit's
finish?
terrifying.
I never played the game.
No, I finished,
okay.
yeah, but
did you go into the void?
remember. Yeah. I took my Cyclops over to the void.
Where
and
they
just
all keep summoning.
It was fucked up. But other than that, I went over to my dad's and stepmom's on Saturday, and we had a big dinner with my sister's boyfriend, Lindsay, Pee Wee. We all just hung out, shot the shit, had some drinks, had a little bonfire. The neighbors kept knocking their volleyball over into my dad's backyard, and we would throw it over. Every time we threw it back over, they handed us a beer.
Nice.
They were paying us in beers. I was like, fuck yeah, this is awesome. But yeah, that was cool.
That's a way to ensure you get to ensure you get your ball back.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that was pretty much it. Yesterday we watched Dune 2. Finally.
I haven't watched it. I don't know why I said finally.
It's very good. It's a lot better than the first movie. There's a lot more action sequence.
Get me to watch it.
Because from what I was understanding, the first movie is all just set up.
Yeah. The first and second movie are the first book is all it is. And then the second book is going to be the third movie.
Thanks.
I don't like that concept personally, even with like the seventh book and like last book.
It's a big ass book, dude.
Is
it? They tried to condense in the 1984 and like the 2000 version of Dune that they made into a movie back in the day. They tried to condense the first book into one movie, and it's just confusing and dumb, and yeah, it's just not there. I mean, they could do without the wide shots of the desert and Paul Atreides standing on there and just staring out into the sun, and all you hear is they could do without all that. I don't need to see that every 5 fucking seconds. Get the story going. I want to see what's going on. I want to know the politics. I want to see the fighting. I want to see all these great houses, and I don't need to see these cinematic outro shots of where they zoom out using a drone and all that. I don't need to see it. The thing that is
still funny to me is that the guy that plays Paul Atreides is
Timothy
the guy
Champagne.
that plays Wonka.
Champagne.
Well,
have you seen the TikTok like shit where it'll be
ladies and gentlemen of the gourmet, I am Paul Atreides.
Yeah, it's like this happy-go-lucky Wonka, and then it goes into like the psychotic Paul Atreides. It's great.
It's fucking. I love those TikToks.
He's such a bitch boy through the whole movie until like the last 45 minutes. Then he just like took meth and fucking is like, I am your god.
Because isn't like I've gotten a little bit of it spoiled. Isn't he like some kind of prophet on a planet? Some like prophecy.
Yeah, that's solely all prophecy. It is.
Of like the great worm god or something like that.
Yeah. The voice from the outer world. Anyway, how was your guys' weekend?
Well, speaking of Leviathans, have you guys been hearing like all the conspiracy that's going on in the ocean right now?
Oh boy.
Oh,
With
I
the
think we
giant,
briefly
like,
talked
movement.
about this where
Yeah.
they
I have
showed that
not.
big thing moving up the coast of
So there's been a
South
big
Africa.
unidentified like thing moving. Some people say it's some kind of like base. I forget the name of the base thing. Some people have just been saying it's air, but a majority of the conspiracy nuts are saying, and a lot of the religious side are saying it's the Leviathan that woke up. And that's only furthering with like last week, a bunch of orcas tried to beach themselves last week, claiming that like I don't know the whole story, so this is not me saying this is fact or fiction. I saw the video of the orcas doing
Entertainment over accuracy.
it. Right. Everyone's saying like it looked like they were running from something. And then the other weird thing is an anglerfish washed up on the beach for the first time in like
Aren't
recent
anglerfishes
history.
like on the fucking bottom of the ocean?
Yeah, they're from the abyss.
And
That's
so
that one's a trip. That one's kind of creepy.
No one knows why it
Now, what kind of
Here-
Leviathan are we talking about? Are we talking like Cthulhu, or are we talking like the biblical Leviathan?
like the
serpent.
biblical,
Like the
yeah, like
serpent?
the biblical Leviathan.
I say it's Jormungandr.
So, yeah, God damn it. That's
I need to finish Vikings.
That's been a conspiracy for much longer than now.
Yeah,
Like there's a
every
Leviathan in the
time.
ocean, like because like there's a conspiracy that keeps coming up on my TikTok, like they found something in the ocean and that's why they were trying to move to space and get us off the planet.
Cool.
Well, you know about the this video is just turning into conspiracies, but you know the whole conspiracy about like the Egyptians, right? Like that they were actually
That they
like,
were
more superior,
advanced.
Yeah, and they left.
Yep.
Because there's like apparently hieroglyphs that like depict like space travel
Spaceships.
and shit.
You need to get off of Ancient Aliens, dog.
Nah.
That show's so fucking stupid.
I don't watch it. I just get all this shit from TikTok.
Oh.
TikTok, online, and YouTube.
What about you, Hunter? How was your week?
Most of it was spent being sick. And then I thankfully was able to get my shifts covered because I called out sick. So I've just been home trying to get unsick.
What about you, Alex? Other than your conspiracy rabbit hole.
My weekend's been good and just worked. I switched my schedule around, so my sleep schedule kind of got fucked up, but we're combating that right now. I'm a little tired.
Okay.
Other than that, I'm fine.
That's good. That's good.
That's good.
Das ist good, ja. Das ist fantastisch. How do you want to start this off, Alex? A long time ago in a galaxy far away.
I
mean, kinda. It was a barren wasteland like Tatooine.
Yeah. Well, first off, let's agree on a name.
Stephanie.
Stephanie? All right. For anonymity, we will not be referring to like actual names.
This is a true
reasons.
story, but names and locations will be changed to protect the identity of certain individuals involved.
So, on Tatooine. Anakin Skywalker.
We just tell the plot of fucking Star Wars.
No, a long time ago, and a long time ago meaning like 2016 or something like that.
Oh, mine goes back further than that.
Then you can start. We'll kind of go in chronological.
We'll go
order.
Until it merges and then branch off again. Okay.
Once you get to, just make sure you use years. That way, once you get to a year, I can be like, all right, hold on, I got to tell my side.
And see, that's the thing is I'm bad with years. Like I tell Lindsay, I'm like, oh yeah, we've been married for like 8 years. She goes, no, it's been like 6. And I'm like, oh, what?
You want to know what the crazy fact is though? That means we've been friends for 6 years.
Yeah. And that's gonna come out in this. So all right. So
start us off.
I had a senior year in high school. Met this girl, started dating her. It was not ideal. What I need a Zin for this one. So
up in a Zinny for the Lord.
Double Zinning up for the Lord on a Tuesday.
This is the only time that I'm like, I can understand the nicotine.
So we dated. I had family issues living with my mom and my stepdad, and I moved in with my grandparents out in the desert, and me and her broke it off. Couple of years went by, finished high school, started working, and then we reconnected somehow. I don't remember. I think it was like over Facebook or something like that, right? And we started dating like long distance kind of thing again. Her in the city, me out in the desert. She'd come out and visit. I'd go out there, back and forth kind of thing. And then around that same time, because we weren't like serious, and I'll admit it, I was a piece of shit. I was like, we're not serious. This isn't going to be you're not going to be my wife. We're not going to have kids. We're not going to have a house on a plot of land. So, and I ended up developing a crush on my now wife.
Oh, okay. Wait, you're like way.
No. I'm in where I'm working at the grocery store. And this is right before we moved in with each other. We then moved in with each other and things were horrid from the beginning. It was I would sleep and wake up to feeling something watching me, and I roll over and she's just staring at me as I sleep. And it looking back on it now, it was more of she was obsessed with me while I was indifferent of the situation. But it was a toxic relationship, a lot of fighting, a lot of arguing.
Love triangle
Of all, well, no, see,
you have no idea.
There wasn't even like my wife wasn't even involved around this time. Me and her weren't like dating.
No. There was a triangle, but not with Lindsay.
Yeah. So I'm getting there. We basically lived together for a while. I
love that we said, by the way, sorry, not to interrupt. Names for anonymity, and I just named your wife. That's my bad.
Nah, my wife is involved in it.
It's fine. Just edit it with Beatrice.
You just put like the talk. Yeah, you just put talk to text, and it's just like Jorge.
Lupita.
Do you or do you not feel?
It got really toxic. It got really bad to where like middle of the night, cops are being called by our neighbors because of us arguing, and it was definitely one of those situations where I need to remove myself from this because the cops are going to arrest me for false allegations, or I'm going to end up killing someone and get in trouble for it. It was at that tipping point, right? Mm-hmm. So that's when we basically broke up. I didn't have the money to break my lease, so I slept in one part of the apartment. She slept in the other, but the creepiness and that creepiness just kept going and just spiraled downward. And then this is around the time Alex came in.
So I gotta go back because I'll talk about how I got
this
my
was
whole
around
self
when
into this.
I realized Alex came in.
Yeah. So back in 2015, 2014, somewhere around there.
It wasn't 2014 because I just graduated high school. Oh wait, what? No. Okay, no. You're good. I'm misremembering stuff.
I was like, I graduated in 2012, and we're the same age.
It was 2015.
Well, I got held back when I was like 6 because of my sperm donor and stepmom in Texas.
It was 2015 because I had just started high school.
So back in 2000, somewhere in like 2014, 2015, I worked for a big corporation. We'll call them
Pizza Hut. You just drop an actual main big corporation.
It's a big theme park in Anaheim. I won't name them, of course, just so they can't be like for some reason.
Our
like,
overlords.
Yeah, the overlord. And so I drove from Riverside to Anaheim every day, which was, for those that don't live in California, is about an hour and a half on a good day.
Because of traffic, not because of distance.
And everything. Yeah, no. On the weekends, it took me like 30 minutes. Yeah. 30, 40 minutes. But so in that time, I used to eat a lot of fast food because like most of my day would be traveling to work, working, and then coming home. And I also was poor with money. Like I had really bad.
He would come home with bag in hand.
There's a reason why I got fat. Don't threaten me. I'm telling the story like you wanted me to.
Oh,
let my family go now. And so one day I pulled into a fast food joint of the Mexican variety.
You take your pick, SoCal.
And like I was talking to a friend at the time, and we were on the phone, and this girl took my order. I get to the window. She like looks at me and looks at me with what I thought was terror. Takes my card, swipes it, throws it back at me, runs away. I said, "Oh, okay." I'm like, that was fucking weird. Whatever. Some dude comes over, gives me the food, and like leans into the window like he needs to talk to me. And I was like, what did I do? Like, I didn't do anything to this girl. And he goes, hey, just so you know, like, that girl thinks you're really cute. And I said, thanks. And I just drove off.
Fuck yeah. The Rizzler.
and that's where the story should have ended, honestly.
That's where the saga should have ended, but no.
No. My friend on the phone. My friend on the phone decided to say, "You're a fucking idiot." And I said, "What? Why?" He goes, "Why didn't you give her your number?" I was like, "I don't know. I didn't know. I panicked. I didn't know what to do."
Did you pull back through the drive-thru and order 4 more tacos?
No. I'm not. No. I was like, all right, well, that was a cool thing. Like, and I went home. The next day, I went through the drive-thru again on my way home, and I said, and I was on the phone with the same friend, and I said, if she's there, it's fate, and I will give her my number.
It's fate.
If not,
motherfucker, it's not fate.
He was cringy.
You showed
like
up
that.
the next day. Oh, the hopeless romantic. I love you.
19 at the time. Leave me alone. And so I was like, if she's there, I'll give her my number on the receipt, and like, well, it'll be good. I get up to the window. A guy took my order. I get up to the window. It's a dude. Like, I don't see her. All right, I'm whatever. Just some dude ass.
Just on the prowl for some dude ass.
And so I was like, all right, whatever. It wasn't meant to be. Like, it's not meant to be. And right as I'm about to leave, the same guy who told me that she thought I was cute saw me, and he comes and he goes, "Hey, like, she's not here today, blah blah blah." And so I was like, "Fuck it." I was like, "Oh, okay. Like, could you give her my number?" And I handed him the receipt. 15 minutes later, I get a text. "Did you give my manager your number?"
I'm trying to fuck your manager, not you.
And I said. Hey, I'm Alex.
I was gonna make that joke. It's the manager. Not 5 minutes later. Hey man, you want to go get a drink?
Right. And so that spawned like I don't know, like a 6-month relationship where I first learned about you. And right from the get go, Stephanie talked the most shit on you. Like,
oh yeah,
all day.
Which is weird because I wasn't that bad when we dated in high school.
But the weird thing is I got to learn like the weird things about you. Like for our fans, I know way too much about Ty. Like what he likes in bed, what they've done, all this weird shit because she would tell me.
3.5 inches for those that are knowing or wondering.
You have
now,
inches?
Shut up.
About like 6 months into the relationship, we broke up. And I will say I was a piece of shit because I broke up with her right before her prom. And that was on me. Yeah.
Dick.
Or no. It was right before homecoming.
Oh,
but she wanted me to come to her prom. It was fucked up on my part. She ended up dating a freshman later, which I thought was kind of funny.
I was gonna say you should preface the fact that she was of age.
Yeah, well,
okay.
At the time, she was 17, I was 19, so it was within that like legal but like questionably legal
gray area. Yeah,
yeah. It was the sketchiest relationship I have ever been in my life, and would never do again. Mainly because I'm now way older and would never.
I was gonna say,
you're just
not
like,
do it again.
Anyways, 17-year-olds hit me up.
I won't date anyone below like 22 now, 23, because it's just too much drama. No offense to anyone. Yeah. But also, if you can't get into a bar, like, regardless. Anyway.
Foot in mouth.
Right. Foot in mouth. Anyway, so we broke up. She didn't take it the best. I moved on. Couple years later, like a year later, she started working at the same company as I did, at the same location, which she claims was by accident. I can neither confirm nor deny that it was, but it did feel very sketchy.
Mind you, the same area you worked at too.
Yeah. Well, like I'm not gonna like say definite so that I can't like for sure say that it did or did not happen, right? Like for the sake of like no legal action, I'm not gonna do that. But I don't think, in my opinion, I don't think it was an accident.
I will say, going to that restaurant with her when we tried dating the second time, I was like, "Oh, this is nice." And yeah, Alex works here. Who's that? I've told you about it before. All right. You tried this pasta with shrimp? Shit fucks. I was so oblivious and didn't give a fuck that I was just like, whatever, fucking.
Yo, you tried this food? It's bussin'.
You fucking zoomer.
let it be known from the very first time we dated, because me and Stephanie dated like 3 or 4 times.
I almost forgot we were changing the name. I'm like, who's that?
Every single time we dated, and I don't know if she said the same thing to you, she claims you and I would be best friends if we just didn't hate each other.
Yeah, it was, if you guys didn't have such hostility towards each other, you would actually be best friends. And I'm like, yeah, I doubt it. Guy seems like a fucking bitch. I'm cool. I don't need him as a friend. Fuck him. And I bet you were saying the same shit.
100%.
Like, yeah, fuck this guy.
Mine was more like, this dude's a piece of shit. Like, because the things... I'll get into the things that she was telling me like later on in this story.
To you, I was a monster. Me, you were a pussy. It was 2 different sides. It was so
way different spectrums.
And so I was the spectator.
And so there was a point in time me and her started hooking up, and I'm outing myself to my parents now, which, I mean, the statutes of limitation are gone because I don't live with them anymore.
What?
I would be like, I'm working late, or I have a shift today or stuff, and I'd be driving to go.
Bitch, are you committing crimes? What the fuck?
Against my parents, I am, but because I was using their vehicle at the time.
Oh, taking her to Pound Town in the back seat.
No.
Your dad's just out there blowtorching the truck. Yep, I don't want this anymore. This is fucking gross.
For the sake of my parents' sanity, we did not. Not in your car.
It was on the hood.
That was in the bed.
No.
Oh,
No,
fuck.
it was not. It was in her car.
That
but
was
regardless,
a small car.
Yeah, it was.
And you're like 7'3".
Trust me, I know. It was not comfortable. But so actually the hookup started later because when you two were dating, so I had developed like a crush on her again when she started working because she changed her hair color to a blonde, and I'm a sucker for blondes and redheads. So I was like, oh shit, like
Knives chow.
Knives chow.
Oh.
And so I was like, all right, like maybe there's something there. But then I found out she was dating a freshman, and I was like, all right, well, you
peaked.
okay. And then she started dating you, and I was like, all right, whatever. Like, not worried about it anymore. And then like, I don't know, maybe like a year later, we stopped talking.
Because it wasn't a year that me and her were dating. It wasn't that long. It was
a decent amount of time that had passed. I know that because we didn't talk for like a year or two.
I just remember it came to my light, came to light for me when I went to Vegas with my grandparents and everything.
I'm getting to that day. That day is where this all kicks off. There's a lot of prequel to this, remember. Regardless of the time, we hadn't spoken in a while. I thought she was just kind of out of my life. And then out of the blue, one day, she called me or texted me or something. And she's like, hey, I know we haven't talked in a while. I just really need a friend right now. Like, can you come over?
With like 7 Ys.
No, it was just hey. That's why I was like, oh, this okay. And she's like, can you just come over, like this and that? And I ended up calling her. I was like, what the fuck? Like, what's going on? Like, we haven't talked in a while. Like, this is not just a normal request of like, hey, we're buddies. Like, come over.
It was weird because it was only 1 Y. Normally, she is a 7 Y girl.
And she had hit me up and was like, hey, like, me and Ty just broke up. He went to Vegas. I don't know what to do. Like, can you come over? I just need someone to talk to.
All right. So let me break off right here and tell my side of the Vegas situation. So I was going to go to Vegas with my family. My family invited me. It was the first time I was going to see I say sperm donor, but it's my birth dad and stepmom and everything. We no longer have a relationship kind of thing. So I say sperm donor. Anyway, me and my grandparents were going to go meet up with them in Vegas, spend a weekend there, hang out, drink, party, do all that stuff, spend some time together kind of thing, right? And this was the tipping point of we're breaking up, basically. We're in that point of it was like the next week I'm sleeping on the couch and all that stuff. You stay in your area, I stay in mine. I'm staying here to live out the lease. It was a bad decision looking back at it in retrospective, but it's what I could afford to do in the circumstances I was left in. So I was going to be like, hey, come with me and this and that, but it blew up into a big old fight and this and that. I didn't want to be around her. So I was like, fuck you. I don't want to be with you. So I went to Vegas with, I think it was my grandparents. I rode with them because they lived 20 minutes away. Like I would pass their house going to Vegas the back way. And I will admit when I got there, I was like, man, this sucks. Let's try and work this out. And we're texting. And from what I remember, it was like, hey, when I get back, maybe we can try and work this out.
Well, now this side of my story makes so much
She
sense.
took the that as an invitation to come to Vegas.
I'll tell you in a sec.
So she comes to Vegas and just shows up. I didn't know this. And I was like, no. Get the fuck out of here. I didn't say come meet me and my family. I don't have money to rent a room, a hotel room. I'm staying with family in their room. There's no room for you. What the fuck? And mind you, my family is 20 feet away on the casino floor. I'm standing on the casino floor because she wasn't of age. She wasn't of age to drink. She wasn't 21. Yeah. She had to stand on the pathway. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, look, I'm done. This is too much. This is creepy. I didn't say come to Vegas to save the relationship. I said we could talk about it when I get back. And she threw herself on the floor like a fucking rom-com. And I'm like, all right. And I just walked away because I'm like embarrassed as fuck. My family's there seeing all this. I have random group of strangers like, what in the fuck? And I just walked off. And that was the last I saw of her. She apparently went back to the apartment and everything. And then that's when she texted Alex.
No.
Was it before?
No.
Yeah.
Oh.
So that night I drove to Tatooine for the first time ever in my life. It was about an hour and a half from where I was living at the time. Never been on that side by myself before. Like the closest I had been was to a outlet mall that was like halfway between.
Oh yeah.
And so I took the sketchiest drive. Like I literally thought she was baiting me to get murdered. And so I called that friend from the beginning, and I was like, "Hey, dog, I need you to like come out here. Like, just be 30 minutes behind me because if I'm about to fight or get jumped or murdered, I need someone."
And let's preface this on the fact that this was definitely the type of person to set something like that up.
Yes. As the story goes on, like,
but that was too early to know.
I would like to preface this because there will be some details about us that probably are not favorable. She really knew how to push people's buttons and manipulate you to do things that you would not normally do. Like,
yes.
I am not normally a violent person. I will joke about being a violent person. But as Hunter can tell, it takes a lot to get me to like get to the point where I'm about to fight someone, or
someone has to basically lay hands on him.
If you're talking about like punching her.
I did not do that.
To preface, someone basically has to lay hands on him to
like
for him
I just
to
don't want to like start saying details that I've heard or that you've heard that like paint you and I in a light where people are like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
like,
no, we're not. And telling this story isn't to be like, hey, we did nothing wrong. No, we made bad decisions as well. We're not saying that we're completely innocent in this. We did do fuck shit too. I'm not
intending to tell this story as like, oh, you know, fuck her. I mean.
Yes, but no.
Yes and no. I wanted to get that out of there because like I'm realizing some of the details that like are about to get released. I was like, ugh.
Yeah, because we haven't really talked about it since we became friends, kind of thing.
So that I'm driving. I let her know, like, hey, our friend, we'll call him Billy. Billy is coming to like buffer this. And I get there, so there's like an hour in between.
That's when she called
Billy
off the murder attempt.
Yeah. There's an hour between Billy coming and me there that we spent time together. I don't know how she did it, but she convinced me to make her dinner, which was the shrimp pasta. She's like, I just really need shrimp pasta. Like, I know you know how to make it. And so I told her, like, hey, if you grab everything, I'll make it. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking, but I did. We get there. I start cooking dinner. Your apartment was a mess.
Yeah. Not for a lack of trying, though, dude.
No, 100%. I lived with her, too, so I know who was really there. I broke several bro codes that day without knowing, because I will be the first to admit I am a piece of shit. I played your PlayStation.
Damn.
Or your Xbox.
No, it was a PS4 at that time.
Oh, you're right.
That was before I got banned on PlayStation
I
Network
touched
for
your
my
PlayStation,
username.
And I would like to start my formal apology, my friend.
It's all right. You've already apologized, dude. Every time we talk about this scene, you're like, "Yeah, I played your PlayStation."
Back then, though, you thought he was an asshole and a monster, so it was fine.
So like we were there. We at first like we played like Outlast, I think, because I had never played it, and she's like, "Oh, you have to try it." And so we were playing it,
Jesus
and
Christ.
instantly, like I was hooked again, just like that. Like I had feelings, and I was like, I am kind of that hopeless romantic, so I was like, oh, like fuck.
Yeah.
Then we started watching a movie while I was cooking, and it was like immediate flirting. There were like multiple moments where we almost kissed, like, and then afterwards Billy got there, and like I was like, hey dude, like, first of all, I regret inviting you because I think I could have gotten some, but also
what a
I think
move.
I'm still in love with her. And he's like, so what are you gonna do? And I was like, I'm gonna console her, like, you know, and try and
with
like,
my penis.
Yeah. So we all ate dinner. We were hanging out.
Here,
She was
I got
fucked
you a
up
box.
because of you.
What's in it? It's a dick in a box.
I finally.
Jesus Christ.
He doesn't say anything for like an hour, and then it's just the most obscene shit.
I've been talking this whole time to Ty.
That's fair. And then, so after we had dinner, like, we played a game or something, and then she ended up running to the room crying. And
good job, you fucked it
I
up.
was like, all right, like, coming here was a mistake. Like, all it's gonna do is get me hurt. I'm in love with this girl. She's in love with Ty. Like, fuck it. And I was gonna and then Billy was
Alex,
like, hey,
there's something right here.
Oh, where?
There you go.
There you go.
I was gonna let him ride with it.
I wasn't because I know how annoying it is because of the beard incident where mine was off center and I was like,
what was it?
It was like something small.
I don't know.
I was like, I think it was cheese from the sausage sandwich you ate.
So I was about to leave. Billy was like, hey, I'll go talk to her. You stay right here. And this friend is no longer friends with me because of situations that have happened.
Another incident we'll talk about later.
Yeah. But in this moment, he was a real like friend because he went in to talk to Stephanie and was like, hey, you're obsessed with this dude that left you because we thought you were a piece of shit. Like, you just went to Vegas and left him. He was like, you're sitting here obsessing over someone who doesn't give a shit about you partying in Vegas while Alex just drove an hour and a half to someplace he's never been to just to make sure you're okay. Like, you need to really look like in the room and figure out who's there for you and who's not. Meanwhile, while they're yelling for like half an hour, I was in the kitchen like stewing, and then finally I was like, fuck this, and I went to go leave. Well, Billy comes running out and he goes, you better get your fucking ass in there and you better sit down on the fucking couch. And I said, okay. I sat on the couch. He comes out like 20 minutes later and he pulls me back into the kitchen and he goes, you have two fucking options. You either go in there and you tell her how you feel, or you walk out that door and I don't ever want to hear about this ever again. Like, you do not get to complain. You don't get to be like, hey, like, I wish I would have done this. Like, it's over. You choose. I'm going home.
I'm going home. Like
nice.
Like this shit.
So I'm sitting in the kitchen. I'm fucking debating. I'm like maybe I should just go home. And I was like, no, I really like have strong feelings. So I went in. We talked for like 2 hours. Now, keep in mind, it's like 2:00 in the morning at this point.
Yeah.
We start making out, you know, we're kind of getting hot and heavy. And then she like runs to the bathroom and starts crying. And I was like, fucking hell, dude. Like, should have just left. Comes back out and goes, "Hey, I need to know this is over before I get with you. I'm going to Vegas." I said, "I don't know that that's a good idea." And at 4:00 in the morning, she leaves.
This is probably why I thought I was surprised by her showing up, because by that point I was 1, shithouse drunk, and 2, passed out on the floor of the hotel, sleeping in my makeshift bed on the floor. That's what I meant by like there was no room. I made a bed with a pillow and a blanket on the floor.
So I,
not the worst bed.
4:00 in the morning, drive home to Riverside, and my parents thought I was staying at a friend's house for the night. I get home in the morning. My mom goes, "Why are you here so early?" I said, I just decided to come home early." In my head though, I think my parents knew. That
Your parents knew.
100%.
Yeah.
So I respect my parents for not
every
saying
family
anything.
member that was involved knew what was going on without getting any details. They all knew. My grandparents never one included.
I respect my parents for not saying anything if they knew. If they didn't, I'm sorry. This now sparked a 6-month love triangle between.
It was not that long, because it was right after I came back from Vegas that I was like, "Look, we're done. That's it." And we got into a big old fight. And it wasn't the first time she laid hands on me, but it was the last time, because I'm standing there packing my suitcase like
I was like, what happened?
No, it was.
Yeah, no. It was exactly how he phrased it.
Yeah, it was not the first time I had been, legal terms, physically assaulted, but it was the last time. So I'm putting stuff in my suitcase. And I was just going to grab my essential stuff, put it in my car, and leave and go move back in with my grandparents for the time being till I could get a new place. And I told her, I was like, "Look, I'm not living here anymore. I can't be around this. I need to remove myself from the situation, this, that, and the other. But I'm not going to be, I'll send you my half of rent so you can stay living here and all of that, but I'm not living here anymore." And that was when she's like pushing me and this and that in my face, screaming and cussing at me, and yada, 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 typical toxic relationship fight, right? And it was to the point, and just so the viewers can know, at the time, I obviously was more physically fit than I am now. I was trying to be a police officer. I took the written exam, and I took the physical exam. It was time for me to take the psych evaluation. But I knew getting wrapped up in this situation was going to stop me from being a police officer. And when she finally was pushing me and everything into the bed as I'm loading up my suitcase, I finally zipped it up and she wouldn't get out of my way. And I just pushed her to the bed, towards the bed. Mind you, it was that far. And she did what soccer players do when they get lightly touched. And I was like, oh, Jesus fucking Christ. And then it was, I'm calling the cops. Yeah, assaulted me. I'm like, what about all the times you were just hitting me 2 seconds ago? What the fuck? So that was when I stepped outside and I called my grandparents. And because we just got back from Vegas, my sperm donor and his wife were still there. And they showed up, all 4 of them, and they helped me load my stuff up in the truck and all that stuff to move out. Mind you, she's just screaming and yelling, saying, "Oh, they're not allowed in my apartment, blah, 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 blah." I was like, fuck you. I'm getting my shit and I'm getting out. Expect a check at the beginning of the month for my half of rent. I leave. That was that. That was the end of that. And that's when the really toxic shit started coming out of, you need to send me money to pay off my credit cards because while we were together, there's security camera footage at Walmart of you using my credit card. And I'm like, you gave me permission to do that. We were dating, blah, blah, blah. Shit like that.
Vietnam flashbacks right now.
Dude. So mind you, me and Lindsay weren't dating yet. We weren't like officially dating. We were just friends. And she was my rock through this whole thing. Like, hey, you're going to be fine. It's going to be okay. She was
Shout out to Lindsay.
Yeah, the real G of this entire story. She stood by my side the whole time. And whenever it got to me so much to where I'm having a mental breakdown thinking like, oh, fuck, I'm going to go to jail for shit I didn't do. And she's like, no, you're not. That can't happen. This and that and the other. And then comes the infamous the straw that broke the camel's back for my mental health.
Yep.
I am working at said grocery store. Mind you, me and her have been broken up for a bit now. I have been moved out for a bit now, living with my grandparents, and still texting me every other day, trying to get me back, blah, blah, blah. Well, this time she threw the Hail Mary and tried to do the worst thing imaginable and told me she was pregnant with my kid. The timelines of now that I have a kid, the timeline of her being pregnant and the last time we had sex was not adding up. So I was already skeptical, but I didn't want to be that piece of shit that was the abandon my kid kind of thing. So it took me a while to come to grips with it. But that same day I got that text, me and Lindsay were working together, and I walked up to her. I'm like, hey, me and you have kind of had a thing going. We're not dating, but we're friends. And I feel like it could turn into something, especially once all this baggage is dealt with. But just so you know, this is the situation. Do with that information what you will. Leave. Don't talk to me anymore. Whatever you want to do. I will support anything. And she looked at me deadpan, no fucking absurd reaction, goes, we'll take care of it. We'll deal with it. And I'm like, wow. I'm gonna marry this bitch.
Yep.
God damn.
Now so, I gotta pause you because there's a lot of shit that happened before this.
Yeah. Okay.
So after the Vegas situation, it was like a good. I don't know how much time you guys were actually together in on this, but I do know there was a lot of contact because it was 4 to 6 months. It was from, I want to say,
it had to have been 2015, 2016. Because 2017 was when me and Lindsay officially started dating.
When did you go to Vegas?
It had to have been like 2015.
No,
2015.
What month? It was like July, wasn't it?
It was my stepsister's birthday, so I don't know. Whenever that is, I don't know anyone's birthday other than. No, I know my wife's, I know my daughter's, and I know yours. That's it.
I want to say it was like June or July.
What the fuck, man?
You want to keep your secret? Go fuck yourself.
Oh yeah. By the way, happy birthday, Hunter.
God damn it.
It's his birthday today?
Yep.
No, it's Memorial Day. Tomorrow? Nice. Happy birthday, fuck stick.
What was I saying? Oh, so I want to say it was in July. For all intents and purposes, we'll say this is in July. June or July. August, September, October. We're hooking up. We keep coming to, like, I'll drive kind of out to Palm Springs area. She'll drive out here. Like, we're going back and forth. Always sneaking around because she won't let go of you. And you guys were still living together at the point, because I remember phone calls that I would have with her, and I would hear you in the background.
That had to have been
Ty's home.
Like, because when I got back from Vegas, it was when my sperm donor was still at my grandparents coming back from Vegas. So, because there was only a few days in between. So it had to have been right before Vegas or something, because there wasn't that much time in between when I got back from Vegas and when I moved out.
I don't know, because there was like...
It's weird trying to think back to all the finer details on that, because it gets really
because
wonky.
There were like quite a couple months. Because I remember comparing it to I don't want to be the side piece hidden in the closet to her. And that was the final, because it was literally like we'd be talking or Skyping or whatever, and then she'd be like, Ty's home, like I gotta go. And then it was like, okay. And that happened for like months. So I don't know the finer details of it, but also when we would hook up, like she would like call you or text you, and like I'd be like, can you be quiet for like just a couple, like, and I looking back now, I was the biggest fucking idiot for sticking around for this bullshit until November happened. In November I turned 22. My friends at work just realized they missed my 21st birthday, because for my 21st birthday I didn't do anything big or special.
Yeah, it's when you guys went drinking and stuff.
Yeah, so me and my mom for my 21st birthday, we went to Walt Disney World, had a blast, and that's all we really wanted to do, because her birthday's in January, my birthday's in November. We decided, hey, we'll just celebrate both of our birthdays in February, because that was like the best. We planned it out, and it was honestly the best time to go. It's not important to the story. My 22nd birthday, my coworkers, I ADHD. I like.
I was gonna say you are oversharing on certain things that don't have anything to do with the story.
I know.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I was mad they went to Disney World.
You at the time
it's
would spend like
son.
No. Hunter would go to Disneyland and like 2 hours be like, I'm done. I want to go home.
Because we'd been there like hundreds of times before.
Yeah, but we're not going to spend thousands of dollars going to Florida and then be like, oh, you get there and be like, all right, I'm done. I want to go home. We didn't believe that at the time, though. Anyway, my 22nd birthday, she was very mad because she couldn't come to the bar. There was a bar that's like right down the road from where we worked, and all the coworkers were like, hey, we got your ass for your 22nd birthday. I said, okay. And I was staying with a friend who lived like 20 minutes away from Disney, so, because we were planning to go the next morning with Stephanie and a bunch of my friends. So she was mad that she couldn't come, even though it was like, I think it was an 18 and up bar. But I was like, hey, like no one under 18 is going to be, or under 21 is going to be there. At the time she was 20 or 19. I don't remember. And there was a coworker that I worked with that we got along very well. Like her sarcasm matched mine. Like,
a better match for him in the time.
Much better match at the time. We were getting drunk and like kind of hitting it off. Me being completely oblivious though to like people hitting on me. I didn't think anything of it until one of my friends came and was like, hey, like she's really into you. And I was like, what? No, like we're just friends. Like we're just, messing around. She's like, no. I got obliterated that night. Like I had a new drink every 15 minutes in both hands. New drink, boom, new drink. And I was just gone. To the point where like at some point, like by the time I got home to my friend's house, I had at some point when she was driving me home had a water bottle and could not figure out how to drink it. So I just uncapped it and then just went,
oh, this isn't my favorite part.
Pouring it all over me. So my friend did not know what was all over me because that was the first time I had ever thrown up due to alcohol. So she took my clothes off. And it was one of those no. She's married. I'm very good friends with her husband. Like it was one of those like times where like no matter what would have happened, like everyone involved in the situation knew I was safe and there was nothing going on. But she washed my clothes. Like I had underwear on still. She
just, like I'm not
they
buying
took my
it.
pants.
It gets even better.
Homeboy's just rocking out with his cock out on their couch, passed out. Just
it gets even better, I assure you.
Yeah. So they took my shirt off, they took my pants off, and they went to wash them because they knew I was going to Disney tomorrow, and they didn't know if I had a spare change of clothes. So they wanted to make sure I had clothes. But I also wore contacts at the time, and so they were trying to like get my contacts out, which was not
overdoing it. That's overdoing it.
So I'm being drunk and belligerent, so I'm like, no, being a child. And at the time, her roommate, who I was also good friends with, was a preschool teacher, and she was the nicest woman I have ever met. Like, very.
What does this have to do with the saga?
It's getting there. It's getting there. She like ended up scolding me and be like, "Alex, you take out your context right now." And so me drunk, it's okay. So I take him out. I pass the fuck out. I wake up in the morning to Billy calling me. I'm hungover like a motherfucker. I said, "Hello?" He goes, "Hey, we're on our way to Anaheim." I said, What time is it?" And he goes, "It's like 7:00. Like, we'll be there in an hour." I said, "Wake me up when you're like 15 minutes away." And he goes, "Okay." And then you ever wake up and you're just like, something's not right? I woke up and I'm looking around like something's not right. And I go, and now keep in mind, Stephanie's in the car along with two other my friends. All Stephanie knows is I went to a bar, got obliterated drunk, and is at my friend's house. Now, she knew, too, there was never a chance of anything happening between my friend, because I would always, rather be with her husband than with her, not because of anything, but just I love her husband, so much.
He's gay.
This is my coming out story, too. No, I'm kidding.
Watch out.
I'm looking around, and I go, "Billy?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "I don't know where my pants are."
Jesus Christ.
Daggers I could feel from the backseat of his car through his phone from Stephanie. I was like, I'm so
That's
fucking
the best
and he goes,
fucking part.
We'll see you in an hour, dog. And he just hangs up. I'm getting dressed. I get in the shower. I'm getting dressed. They get to the house. She will not talk to me. She's
nice.
Furious.
You know, on that car ride, Billy was like, "God, I fucking hate my life."
I'm sure she was bitching the whole ride there.
That is my favorite part of the story.
It was one of two options.
My pants
she
are.
was either bitching the entire time, or the car was just deadly awkwardly silent.
I love the just. I don't know where my pants are.
And so, I won't name her, but it was a very good friend of mine that was in the car. I remember who it was. We get to Disneyland. All my friends get there. She still will not talk to me. Keep in mind, too, this girl hated any of my friends that were female, except for one because she's gay. And even then, I think she hated her. But I can't confirm or deny that.
How could she hate that one, though?
I don't know. She's a very fun person to be around, so I don't know. But I invited a couple that she just hated. From the moment they locked eyes, she hated her. My friend hated her because she knew that she was a piece of shit, and she told me as such, and I didn't listen. But the whole day was just, I think finally at like 10 a.m., 11 a.m., she finally like relaxed and started talking to me. And like we were all kind of having fun. But I also just was ignoring her at this point. Because I was like, I'm not going to let her ruin my birthday. Then that same girl from the bar that I worked with texts me. I goes, "Hey, are you still at Disney?" And I was like, "Yeah, we're gonna head over to Pirates of the Caribbean." And she goes, "Oh, can I come ride a ride with you guys? Like, I wanna like hang out with you for your birthday." Like, and I was like, "Yeah, no worries." Like, but she had to work, so she was only gonna ride with that ride and then go to work.
And poor Pirates before work, because if she got splashed,
yeah, that was probably the biggest mistake of my life, because she gets in line. Stephanie immediately like picks her out and was like, "Fuck her." Gets this attitude, gets this stink face, like will not talk to me. We get in line. I decide to ride with Billy, the girl from work, and someone else.
I don't think that matters.
It does. Regardless of what matters, Stephanie is in a row in front.
It's part of the fucking story.
Leave me alone, Ty.
You're overdoing it.
I know. That's how I tell stories. My mom complains about it all the time. I can't stop it.
I will say, total side note, you should have been with the coworker from work.
Yes, I'm getting to that.
Jesus Christ, get to the goddamn point.
I'm trying. So
the more we stop him, the more he can't get to the point.
Right. I was trying to text Stephanie to see what was wrong. I wasn't paying attention, and I went to look to see if she got the text. And the girl from work swipes my phone. At the time, I didn't like people touching my phone. Not that I had anything to hide. It was like an autistic thing. I don't want people touching my phone. Well, Stephanie turned at that moment, sees my phone in her hand, and decides that's now World War III. We get off Pirates. She says goodbye. Stephanie will not talk to me. I'm trying to talk to her. We get all the way to Tomorrowland, and all of a sudden this huge fight breaks out. She just starts yelling and screaming at me. My friends are trying to get to Space Mountain. We're all trying to get to Space Mountain. And they're just like, oh my God. Longer story short, the rest of the time is just fights. She basically ruins the birthday. We drive home yelling and screaming at each other because she ruined my birthday. And I said, what the fuck is the problem? And she goes, why would you invite her knowing that she has feelings for you? And I said, why does it fucking matter? We're not in a relationship. You're not my girlfriend. We're just hooking up. And she didn't like that. Because the whole time I was fighting for her to say, hey, you and me are going to be in a relationship. And she wouldn't because she couldn't get over you. Well, finally, a week later after that, I said, fuck it. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not going to be your side piece. You either choose me or you choose Ty. I don't care. And she's like, well, you can't do that to me. I said, okay, cool. And I hung up. And I thought that was it. Couple months later, January rolls around. That's when she calls me. We hadn't talked since November. I ended up dating that girl for a couple months, and then I broke it off because at the time I had commitment issues and I was kind of a piece of shit.
Back then?
She calls me. Fuck you, Hunter.
Okay.
She calls me, and this is how the story or the call went verbatim. First of all, she called me 3 times. I didn't answer because she had tried to contact me in between, and I was just like, I'm done. I'm not talking to you anymore. Blah. And she calls me 3 times. I ignore every single one. And she goes, I really need you to pick up. And I said, so she called again. And I said, what the fuck do you want? And she goes, I'm pregnant. And I have never felt my heart stop faster than in that moment. I immediately started doing math. You know the feeling.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's no way. There's no way it's mine. And then there's a long pause, and then she goes, I know it's not yours.
What?
Why didn't you lead with that?
So with that situation, at the time, I didn't know you guys were hooking up. Because then I definitely would have been like, oh, yeah, that's not my kid. Fuck off. But because she was saying you were the last one I was with and blah, 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 and all that stuff. And then that comes back to the whole Lindsay's right there by my side. We'll deal with it as it comes. It's okay. We'll handle this. And that's when I start mentally all right, I'm going to be a dad and I'm going to be having to co-parent with this person that, in my opinion, is scum. I can't stand that.
She would have taken that kid from you.
So that was my dilemma that was constantly going through my head. And it was...
She would have had to get attached first, though.
It had to have been January or something, because that's when it was 2017. Me and Lindsay are like, hey... Or I tell Lindsay, I'm like, hey, I want this to go somewhere. Obviously, you know why. We're best friends. You're there for me and this and that. But I want you to see where I've come from. And she's like, what? And I'm like, I want to take a road trip up north, and we'll go visit my old best friend up in Laytonville. And we'll you can see where I was raised. And she was like, oh, okay, cool. So we take the drive up there. All the while I'm getting these texts of like, oh, going to the doctor today. And they said that I'm this many months along and and shit like that. And I'm just not paying it any mind. And Lindsay's reassuring me like, dude, just turn your phone off for the time being. Enjoy the time that we're having right now. And I'm like, all right. We spend time up north, this, that, and the other. And while we're up there, I get a text from you, apparently, saying that she's going through a hard time, this, that, and the other. I ignore it. Well, then I get a text from her saying that she lost the baby. And obviously, I have come to accept the fact that I'm going to have a kid. Regardless of the circumstances, I was going to be a dad. And hearing that she lost it, and this is again for all the viewers out there, my family, my parents will always tell everyone they weren't surprised that I ended up being married and having a kid, because I've always wanted to be a family man. I've always wanted to have a wife. I've always wanted to be a dad, regardless if it's a boy or a girl. I've always wanted to have a family. Being that way, and then hearing that she lost the baby after I accepted that I was going to be a dad, I broke down. That was the last bit. I couldn't take anymore. And I'm breaking down and this and that. And I was like, I want to see the medical document saying that this happened, because that's how you get discharged from a hospital. Mm-hmm. That's how the medical system works. Refusing to send it to me, refusing to give me anything, any info, any proof. Then I'm getting texts from you threatening me to fuck off and leave her alone. And how dare I be such a piece of shit that I don't believe her. And me and you start going back. Come to find out later on in the future, I realized she was just using a texting app on her phone to have a different number, because you had no recollection of that conversation.
Never texted you.
And that was it. So when me and Lindsay got back from up north, we went to the courthouse and we got a restraining order and filled it out, turned it in. I don't know what happened from that point on, but we filled it out, paid the fee, turned the filled out form back to the courthouse, let them do their thing. And that was the last bit of what we thought was the saga. We thought that was it. Until...
Oh, yeah, there's a lot more.
Wait.
Until...
Well, and...
Don't recipients usually get a copy of it as well?
Yeah, we had our copy.
Not you.
They were supposed like when you get served with the court date or someone suing you.
They're supposed to give you the copy of the restraining order, like saying, "Hey, you've been like there's a restraining order against served. You.
This is a restraining order against you." Yeah, that I didn't follow up.
So Stephanie,
I didn't follow up with any of that.
Probably had 100% knowledge that this happened.
Yes. But again, I didn't follow up on any of that with the courthouse to make sure it got delivered and handed over. I just filled it out, paid the fee, turned it in, thought that was that. I thought I didn't have to do with anything else.
That it does.
Because I never got word of anything from the courthouse about it. So then fast forward probably maybe a year at most.
A year.
A little... like diner cafe opens up in Mos Eisley on Tatooine. And I said we were changing names and locations.
Oh, I love it. No, I love
it. So me and Lindsay are like, and mind you, me and Lindsay have been together now. We moved in together. We're living there in Mos Eisley, and we notice this place opens up. And we're like, huh, this seems like a neat little cafe. Again, hipsters coming into Mos Eisley and flipping buildings into their bougie, hippie, hipster shit and having a $30 chicken club sandwich, which, anyway, that's a whole different topic. We thought it was cool waiting for it to open. Fast forward a little bit more. My little brother ends up living with me to get out of my dad and stepmom's house in Riverside County area out here by me. He wanted to move out and be on his own, but he needed a foothold, like how to get to that point. So he moved in with me and Lindsay. I told my dad, like, look, me and Lindsay will teach him what we know about life as an adult and be a functioning member of society. So then he starts working at a casino there in Mos Eisley, and that's when he makes friends with this guy named Jabba's Palace. He makes friends with this guy named Han Solo.
Han Solo.
And they become friends. They're both nerdy dudes, whatever. He was a nice guy when I met him a couple times. Me and Lindsay would stop in at the casino to dick around, have a drink or whatever sometimes, and meet my little brother Garrett there while he's with his buddy Han Solo, and they're cool guys. Well, one day Garrett comes home and he's like, hey, my buddy Han Solo lives with a guy named Alex, and he said that you may know him. And I'm like, I know my other friend Alex that I was friends with at the time. Alex, me and Lindsay just refer to him as Mexican Alex, so we don't mix you and him up. But we were decent friends at the time and shit, right? And I was like, you mean Mexican Alex? He's like, no, Alex, Stephanie's boyfriend. Cut that out. I can't see the time frame.
You were doing so fucking good.
I was doing so good. I'm sorry. I got wrapped up in the story. I apologize.
An hour 51.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'll text that to you right now. So Stephanie's boyfriend, and I'm like, oh, okay. Well, that adds a Alec or Hunter. Can you send it to him so I don't have to get sidetracked? I was like, yo, you can be friends with Han Solo, just not going over. Fuck you. I'm not a dumb bitch. I got caught up in the moment. Leave me alone. I was like, you can be friends with him, but you can't go over to his house and hang out because I don't want that drama back in my life. Me and Lindsay had just gotten rid of the drama. We're living life as life should be lived, and we don't need that negative fucking drama coming back again. We were like, dude, we're done. Just don't do that. That's really the only rule I like that I'm firm on with you living with us. A week later, he's supposed to be home. And I'm like, all right, he's probably out drinking, hanging out, whatever. And I get on my Xbox and see Garrett has signed in. I'm like, he's not signed in. I'm on the Xbox. So I call him and I'm like, hey, where are you at right now? I'm at Alex's. Cool. I need you to come back to the house, get your shit, and get the fuck out of my house. What the fuck? And I'm all, get your shit and get the fuck out of my house. And I hung up. And then I step outside and I call my dad. And I'm like, hey, you know how Garrett is. You know how I am. You know the situation. This is what he just did. What do? Do I kill him? Or do I beat his ass and send him back to your house? And he goes, well, don't do either of those. Talk to him like a normal. I love Pop Pop. He's all talk to him like a normal person.
Oh, dude, he's so great.
You've met him, I want to say once, but I can't remember.
I've never met Pop
Pop. He was like, talk to him like a normal person. If you can't talk it out, I will come pick him up. Okay. He comes to the house, picks up his shit. I don't talk to him like a normal person. I grab him by the shirt and I'm screaming in his face. Because it was just the blatant disrespect is what I was mad about. It wasn't that he physically did something to hurt me or my family.
Talk to him like a normal person. Yeah. Proceeds to not do that at all.
We end up hashing it out that night. He stays. And it comes out that he's like, hey, me and Han Solo talked. And we're happy to be the middlemen between you and Alex to try and hash this out. And I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that. And he's like, well, you know, it's one of those things where you guys got to talk it out. And even Lindsay was like, you know what? It's time to bury the hatchet. Maybe you guys can just get the truth out and let it be. Just bury it, put it behind you. That way Garrett can be friends with who he wants to be friends with and you don't have an issue with it. And I'm like, all right, cool. A couple days later is when the infamous meeting happens.
Okay, time out, because there's a lot of backstory there too, because to get into how dirty she did both of us, like, yeah. After the whole baby incident, I was like, cool, if you have a kid with Ty, like, don't come back. And she's like, what do you mean? And I said, look, I'm cool with being a stepdad. Like, that's not the problem here. But if you are going to have a child with the person that I hate more than anyone in the world right now, because keep in mind, like, she had convinced me you were beating her, you cheated on her, and went as far to say that you raped her. And
I don't know that you can say that.
Good.
No. That I will cut that out then. That convinced that you would sexually assaulted her. Like
SA. Yeah.
SA.
Yeah. So I just thought you were the biggest piece of shit that ever walked the world. Like, I wanted to kick your ass. And so I was like, if you're going to have his kid, like, there's no way I can, and this wasn't me trying to be a piece of shit, but there was no way I could look at that kid and not have some kind of, like,
animosity.
Right. And not because of the kid, but just because of
who the
and that's not
from.
fair to the child.
Yeah.
That was my whole the child.
A child.
That was my whole mindset. Well, then, like, a week or two later, she was like, I lost a baby. Meanwhile, she was telling me you wanted nothing to do with the baby. That you left her. You were like, fuck you. That's not my baby. I'm not doing anything with it. Blah, blah, blah. So, like, there was a lot of, like, what we came to find out, two different stories being told to two different people.
Mm-hmm. It's pitting the parents against each other thing that I've dealt
100%.
with Pee-wee, where mama says no or daddy says no, and then she goes to the other parent is like, well, what did the other parent say?
Yep.
They didn't say anything. Don't lie.
Yeah. So
I'm not gonna lie, I 100% did that. What did dad say? He said yes. Okay. Or no, I would go to dad and he'd say, what did your mom say?
It's just something kids do.
Yeah. She said, yeah. Okay, I'll take you go get donuts.
It's just something kids do. They grow out of it. It's not a big deal.
Well, some people do.
Fuck you.
So
I know that was pointed at me.
No, it was pointed at her.
Oh.
Hence the two different stories being told.
I'm a little stupid.
A couple months later, she moves back to, like, the Anaheim area. And again, I was an idiot multiple times. We start hooking up again. We started just hanging out. It started as just hanging out. It was me hanging out with her and another friend of ours that was in the military. And we all became, like, really close,
Rambo.
like a close group. And then there was a night that we went to, like, TGI Fridays, because at the time we had, like, the endless apps. We got drunk.
Hey, you're shaking your head, but don't scoff at those kind of deals.
Don't diss on the endless apps.
Dude, I'm not scoffing at that. I'm just scoffing at that's a detail that doesn't need to be in the fucking story.
ADHD moment, nonsense a moment. Does Buffalo Wild Wings still have that, like, endless boneless?
They do.
We gotta go get that.
The fuck is happening?
We ended up hooking up in the back of her car again. It started off as us just hanging out and, like, talking, and then quickly turned into something else. And then from there on, just kept hooking up. And then eventually we got into a relationship, and a couple months later we were talking about, like, moving out together. Like, we should get a place, like, that running around and, hooking up in a car is not fun. Hotels are getting expensive. Like, it was a whole thing. She starts looking at places to move. And she's like, we're looking at like cheap, affordable places. We have Alderaan, we have fucking Hoth, we have Mustafar, and then she's like, "What about Tatooine?" And I'm like, "No." And she goes, "Why?" And I was like, "Because your ex lives there. I'm not doing that." I was like, "Well, let's move to Alderaan. Like, that it's cheap, it's affordable, and it's a new start for both of us." She gets into this huge, like, argument about like we shouldn't let Ty dictate our life, blah 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 blah. And she goes,
here I am,
right?
just like, I'm going to work, coming home, hanging out, doing my thing.
It gets to the point where she goes, "I'm moving to Tatooine, with or without you." My love-struck dumbass was like, "All right, I guess I'll go." Like, and we got to be roommates with the friend that we were hanging out with that was in the military because the base is right there. So like a month later, we're moving out, which was a huge thing for me because I had lived with my parents since then. We get there, life's good for about the first like month or two, and then shit hits the fan, gets better, hits the fan. All the while, I keep getting these fucking stories about Ty. Oh, Ty's here, Ty's that, Ty's this, and I'm like, awesome. I don't give a shit. Now I thought you lived in the town over from Mos Eisley. Come to find out.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Come to find out, you lived in Mos Eisley with us, and I was like, huh?
Point to preface, I lived there first. Fuck you.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Get out of my town.
Get out of my town.
Your kind's not welcome here.
One of my favorite stories, though, was the first encounter I ever had with
we
you,
like the Jawas now.
which was in Jabba's grocery outlet.
Boba's Palace.
Boba's Palace. And, you know, we're walking down the aisles, and you come around the corner, and she goes, "Alex." I said, "What?" And she goes, "That's Ty right in front of us." The disappointment just,
well, what?
Yeah, because she liked to, for some reason, she'd love to start fights in the fucking grocery store.
So you
or
were just
any store for that matter. Yeah, 100%.
Yes.
And
oh my God.
I hate public fights. I hate it so much. Play face until you get to the car. Fucking duke it out. I don't give a shit. Not in the store. It's no one else's business. No one else wants to deal with it. I don't want to deal with it. So she goes, "That's Ty right in front of us." And sure enough, we're walking. And I'm like, "Where?" Because I didn't know you at the time. And she goes, "Right in front of us with Lindsay." Now, keep in mind, when we first moved there, Lindsay worked at that grocery store. Mm-hmm. And every single time we were there, we would have to walk past the deli section to see if Lindsay was working. And she'd be like, "That's Lindsay right there." And I was like, "There's 3 girls there. Which one is Lindsay?" "The fat bitch." And I'm like,
"Hey, yo!
None of these are like overweight. They're like decently like average women." And she's like, "The one right there." And I said, "That's kind of mean. Like, she's not bad looking. Like, don't trash talk someone for not." And she's like, "Are you taking her side?" I like how you just said my
current wife is not bad looking.
Not like that.
No, I know. I'm just giving you shit.
But I was like, I get you don't like her, but like, fuck, it's mean. So you guys are walking, and she's like hyping it up. And you and I were like eyeing each other, like, who's gonna fucking start? Like, who's gonna?
Mind you, at this
move?
point, I have just the handbasket. I don't have a cart. I have a handbasket with groceries in it, and I think to myself, you know, this could be a weapon. And I'm gripping it tight. Lindsay's grabbing my hand like, "Ty, fuck off, stop!" And I'm grabbing it harder and harder, like I got to get a good grip if I'm gonna swing this bitch. And we're locking eyes, like it was like Tombstone, the two about to have the duel at high noon.
And this is the two minds. This shows the 2 different mindsets you and I both had. I'm sitting here like, I don't want to fucking deal with this. I don't give a shit about this dude. Like, if he starts something, I'll finish it, but I'm not gonna fucking start it.
But see, the reason why I was so angry about it was because in my mind, you fucks moved to my town.
No, 100%.
To fuck with me. So
100%.
I'm already fucking furious when I see you two, and I'm like, shit's gonna go down. We're gonna throw hands.
100%.
Get the fuck away from me.
She's whispering in my ear, "What are you gonna do? Are you gonna kick his ass? What are you gonna do?" I said, "You want to know what we're gonna do?"
I'd like to see you try.
What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? I said, "This is what we're gonna do." And I just turned down an aisle and started walking down it. I was like, "I'm not." And she goes, "That's what you're gonna do?" I was like, "I'm not gonna fight him in the middle of a fucking grocery store."
And because Alex is a functioning member of society with normal standards and refusing to fist fight someone in a grocery store, I look at him like, yeah, that's right, bitch. Get out of my way.
It just so happened too that we were going down the aisle I needed to go down. So it was like, that's what I think was going on in my head. I was like, I just need us to keep this pace so I can go down the fucking aisle I need to go down. I don't want to fight. And so that was that. And then there was times where like we'd be driving in fucking other towns and like she'd be like, "Oh, that's Ty's car." And I'd like look over and sure enough, it's you and Lindsay. And like I'm trying to jam out to music. I see you're trying to jam out to music, and then we both like make accidental eye contact, and it just
I remember when we were all driving from Moss Isley to the town over, and we get next to each other, and I realize who it was. Well, watch this, and Lindsay's like, "What?" And I turn on Pink Guy. For those that don't know, Joji nowadays. His song "Shut the Fuck Up." I blare that shit with the windows down, and I just roll by staring at you as we drive by. I'm like, yeah, bitch, get the fuck away
You know
from me.
what this story reminds me of? Every time you're like, oh, yeah, we locked eyes and was like, ready, monkey mode engage.
Yep.
Oh yeah, it was straight
like
up
two
monkey
fucking
mode
silverback gorillas just seeing each other.
But so like the one thing Ty always says, like once we fucking like shared all these stories, is that she did me way dirtier than she did you. Which
yeah,
some terms I do agree. She thankfully, as far as I know, never like made the accusations as serious as she made against you, because I remember I was hyping her up. I was like, if he actually did that, like report him to the cops, because I knew you were trying to be a cop at the time. I was like, we don't need a police officer
at this
that's
point
doing
I stopped.
that.
I was like, I found plumbing. I found my new calling. I love doing this. I'm gonna stick with it.
He got his dad bought at his plumber crack.
And
fuck
he's
yeah,
hyping his wife.
Yep.
So I'm
Crushing
working.
puss.
I'm working at the casino, and this is where Stephanie develops a fucking gambling addiction.
I have yet to be a casino, so thank God I have not gotten that crippling addiction.
Every night, almost every night, she would be coming to the casino.
I think we can skip past that part.
Hey Ty, before we
it's relevant. I promise you.
Before we skip past that part, did you know everyone stops before one big win? Every gambler stops before the big win.
Shut up.
So we get into
the people that listen to this that have a gambling addiction are going to hear that and be like, he's right. And then they drive to fucking Vegas. He's so right.
We get into a huge fight about this because she's spending a lot of money gambling. And I said, hey, no, like we're done. You're not coming to the casino anymore, because it would start like you would come to the casino with Lindsay and then she'd be, oh, Ty's here. Like, what do we do? I'm like, then fucking leave. Like, don't be at the casino. Plus, she was starting problems at my work because I was a supervisor at the time. And as a supervisor, I had to be in the bar. And in casinos, the bartenders and the cocktail waitresses are dressed very scantily or provocatively. And so
it's a way to sell alcohol. I mean,
yeah,
that's just how it is.
And I made friends with some of the bartenders, not in any kind of other way other than friends. And I would talk to them, joke around at work. And she took that as I was flirting with the hot bartenders. And so it was getting me in trouble at work because she would make the bartenders and the cocktail waitresses uncomfortable. And so finally I said, hey, you're not allowed at the casino anymore. If you come one more time, I will 86 you because I had that power. We're not gambling anymore because that's spending a lot. Well, I didn't technically I didn't have the power. I had the power to
get her,
tell PO to 86 them. But I was like, we're not, like, this is spending way too much money. Like, we're trying to save money, and I had already like proposed to her. Then one night she talked. It was like a couple months after she stopped gambling, and she said, hey, like, I understand it was a problem. Can we make a rule, like, I can only spend this much money, and like, can I go to the casino again, like, once a week? And I said, fine. Well, she had come home that night talking about how she made like $200 in tips that day. Like, it was a good day of tips, whatever, because she worked at that cafe. She asked to come to the casino. We were having a really good day. I was like, yeah, sure, like, but only spend like $40. That's your limit. She claims. So she comes, orders food, like, we talk, blah, blah, blah. She goes and gambles. She tells me she's going home. I'm like, all right, I'll see you at home, blah, blah, blah. I go back to work. 10 minutes later, she comes back to the casino, hysterical, crying, saying someone broke into our house.
We guys stole the $200.
I looked at the supervisor that was with me, and I said, I need to go home. Like, I need to go, like, figure this out. They're like, yeah, fucking go. So I'm running to my car, calling 911. I'm like, she's like, oh, I'll meet you there. I was like, no, get the fuck in my car. We'll get your car later. And like, I'm racing home on the phone with the sheriffs. Like, they meet us at the house. They tell us not to go into the property, and they go and search the property because our roommate had a lot of guns. So they're like, hey, if someone is still in that house, like,
they have a fucking arsenal.
Right. And so they swept the house, guns drawn. They separate the two of us, which I was like, that's a little weird. And they bring us each into the house, search the house, say what's missing, bring us back out. She went first. Then I'll never forget him. His last name was Butts. And I fucking loved it. Nicest sheriff ever.
Sheriff Butts.
Dude, he was great. I fucking love that dude.
Shout out to Sheriff Butts.
He takes me into the house where I finally look at the damage. There's couch cushions overturned. One of our couches was overturned. There's plates and glasses shattered in our dog bowls. There's one drawer overturned and poured out. I go into the bathroom. There's one drawer overturned and
this bitch does not know how to stage a robbery.
There's like random holes in our wall. But in the living room, we had a $1,000 computer. That was mine, with a 32-inch flat screen. And my roommate had a 72-inch, like 4K, like flat screen.
A nice ass TV.
Yeah. Like,
they were untouched.
And like the brand new Xbox and everything untouched. The only thing that was, like, our room was untouched. His room was untouched. The only thing missing from our room, with the window open, which was like the little rectangular window, was the $200 that was sitting on our pit bull's dog crate. That was viciously barking. Like, she was all bark, no bite, but viciously barking. No one's gonna walk in there and chance that, in my opinion.
I'd rather just take the computer, the TV, and fucking go.
Right. So we're searching around, and he's like, hey, do you like recognize these holes? And I was like, actually, like, kind of. And I go and I pull out the drawer that I put all my tools in, and we see the hammer I had just gotten for Christmas. It was like a little ball peen hammer.
You mean the one that you had to fucking break cement with?
This one. Yeah, this one. And you can still see the drywall that's embedded in the hammer. Is put very nicely back in the drawer.
which is
covered in drywall dust.
Covered in drywall dust.
The first excuse was not the drywall. It was the fact that it was put back nicely because Alex doesn't do that shit. We are like my dad. We throw shit in a box and we call it good.
So we either had the most reluctant and remorseful fucking tweaker that came into our house and just thrashed the place, but was like, I'm not going to break any of the expensive stuff. But I wasn't thinking that yet because like my mind was just like, what the fuck happened? Like, is anything missing? Blah, blah, blah. So the sheriff takes me into the back, into our roommate's room and closes the door, which already I'm like, am I about to get beat down? Like, what is going on?
Pulled out his baton and
he goes, hey, man.
Beating you.
He goes, I need to ask you something, and I need you to keep an open mind. I said, okay. Because he had taken us around the outside of the property and told us we had perfect dirt. Like, we had perfect, like, basically sand that would keep any footprint. We compared all the footprints, no extra footprints. No sign of forced entry, nothing. Other than the front door just being left open. And he goes, I got to level with you. Do you think this is something she's capable of? And I was like, what? Who? And he goes, your fiance. Like, would she do something like this? And I was like, why would she do something like this? And he's like, look, the only thing that, like, he goes, I clearly know you didn't do this. You're in your work uniform. Like, you just came back from work. Like, so I'm not.
And then all of the evidence you just explained, he explains to you. And
exactly.
You're like, huh.
He's like, why would they shatter like one glass in your dog bowl? Like all this stuff. And I was like, in my head, I'm like, did she do this? And then I thought like the casino, I was like, because there was another time like in the future that another like wad of cash that she kept in her car went missing. And I had called surveillance and was like, hey, can you watch this car? Tell me if anyone like came in and stole this money. And they watched the car from when it got there to when it left. No one entered except for except for Stephanie. And so I was like, I don't know if she's capable of something like this. I don't know why she would do this. All the while, because he goes, hey, who is Ty? I said, huh?
Wait, I was getting blamed for it?
Yeah, oh yeah. I was like, Ty. I was like, I don't know who Ty is. Like at the time, like I was like, it was one of those moments where you're trying to piece.
And I assure you, Ty is smart enough to steal the fucking computer and TV in the other room.
Oh yeah.
Oh hell yeah.
Ty in his house.
And he's
nice
like,
fucking TV.
She said something about like an ex that could have possibly done this, Ty, and I was like, oh, like yeah, I know who Ty is. Like, and he's like, do you think he's capable of something like this? I was like, I don't know. I don't know why he would. And he's like,
I didn't even know where you guys lived.
Yeah, he's like, I just need you to be open to the fact that this is fishy. And so I made the mistake of after he left and we kind of all calmed down. We were sitting on the couch, and I said, Stephanie,
Alex.
I know.
Mark it down, Hunter.
Did you do this? And she fucking flipped out on me. How could you ever think I would do it? And I was like, I regret asking. I knew I was going to. But without going into like every single detail of the story, there was multiple times where she put her hands on me as well. Like there was a time we got into this fight, and I'm the type of guy, especially in a relationship, that I know when I get mad, I will say some fucked shit if I get past a certain point. So I walk away.
For the throat.
Oh yeah, my words are vicious. I don't try and hit people. I just try to break you down mentally. So I walk away before that way I can calm down and come at this like an adult rather than like being a dick.
I don't think you should say the one that I think you're thinking of. I think we should.
I'm not.
Skip.
No. That's a whole different bug. So
later.
In this argument, I try to walk past her, and she starts screaming at me, and I was like, "Look, I'm done with this for now. Like, I need some air." And she pulled me by the back of my shirt to the point where I'll admit it was choking me. I was like, what the fuck? And like tries to throw me onto the bed. I'm a big guy, so it didn't work out in her favor. And I whipped around and I got very close to her face. And I said, if you ever put your fucking hands on me again, there will be issues. Which she did not like. And so, and then there was another time where we were in an argument where I was on the computer and she went to like reach across to like basically slap the power button. And like, I grabbed her hand, not hard, like I just did that. And I said, don't touch the computer. And she freaked out and ran into the bathroom, started taking pictures of her arm. And she goes,
oh, yeah.
But before she had tried to turn the page, she slapped me. Yeah. And so she's
par
like,
for the course.
You left a mark on my hand. Which was
meanwhile,
like,
you're sitting there with a fucking black eye. Yeah. Sure. Okay.
I didn't have a black eye, but yeah, I had a handprint on my face, and I was like, "What about the fucking handprint you left?"
And I'm not condoning like just trading blows and being like, "Well, you did this and you did that." No, it should never happen, regardless.
I do not believe in ever putting hands on a woman. I do believe in detaining people before it gets to violence. Like if I am going to put hands on a woman, it is going to be to make sure she cannot do harm, not to like beat her. And that is all I ever did. And you know, shit like that happened, and then I finally broke off the engagement. I said, I'm not doing this anymore. You treat me like shit. Fuck you. I'm done. I was going to move out. I planned because we had all had like a bonfire with a bunch of friends that I worked with. And one of them looked at me and goes, dude, you're really unhappy. And I was like, no, like it's just a rough patch, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, if you ever need an out, we have a room. Move in with us. You know, we won't charge you rent, like, because we know you want to get back on your feet. Like, we got you. And I was like, oh, like, I really appreciate that, whatever. And then they came to me like the next day at work, and they were like, dog, I was 100% serious. If you need an out, we have a room. Just say the word. And I thought about it. We got into like another fight, and I was like, you know what? Fuck it. And I hit him up. I was like, hey, I'll take that room. Let's move out Thursday. She works on Thursday. I'll grab the U-Haul, grab my shit, leave before, any drama can happen. I broke off the engagement. I took back the ring. She's hysterical, talking about don't go. She can change, blah, blah, blah. I was like, if you could change, like you would have already. I'm done being treated like shit, whatever. The day of the move, she found out, took the day off. And I get to the house and she's there. And what was supposed to be a 4-hour day turns into a 16-hour day.
This was where we were all there, right?
No. Talking about the cops that day were called 4 times, claiming I'm trying to steal my own stuff, to the point where the cops looked at her and go, he's trying to steal a men's 2X shirt? Well, he doesn't have permission to take my stuff. And I was like, we are both on the lease. Like, this isn't anything. And they're like, look, this is a civil court thing. Like, we're not dealing with this. Do not call us again. And she ended up calling her aunt and her uncle to come out.
Poor police officers.
To basically intimidate me. And she's threatening to go to court. We're yelling and screaming in the front yard. I said some really fucked shit to her to like try to get her to leave me alone. And it got to the point, this is how gangster my mom is. I called my mom because I was at the point where I just didn't know what to do anymore. And I said, Mom, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm just trying to grab my stuff. I just want to be done with this. Like, she's threatening to sue us. Like, all this other shit because, like, we had a joint account. She stole all my money from the joint account and admitted she took my money because she wanted to. She had taken out a loan on her title to put the down payment on my car. And then we were just like, oh, we'll pay all of it back. Never did we once agree, like, I would pay for that loan. We all agreed, like, hey, this is, like, She wanted my car, even though it was it was the only smart move I did. I put the car in my name and my name only, because she ended up stealing my dog. I'm bitter about that. Yeah, I had to throw that in. So my mom goes, all right, you want to play? She wants to play that? Put me on speakerphone and start walking through the house. And I said, okay. And she's like, what did she say? And I was like, she's threatening to like sue me and all this. And my mom, right in front of her, goes, will you tell that bitch that I have the lawyers on the phone right now? And as a matter of fact, I'm leaving work and heading there right now. We'll get this settled right now. And you see all the color leave her face. And my mom goes, click. Within an hour, my mom was at that house. Her aunt and her uncle were there. My mom whips out her phone. This is the only time like my mom was like an acceptable Karen. She whips out her phone and starts recording everything. And she will not say a word. Every time Stephanie tries to talk, she's like, I'm not talking to you. I'm recording everything for like so that the court knows that we're not stealing anything. And the only time she'd ever talk to her was like, hey, do you admit that this is Alex's? And she would say yes, and we'd take it. It was like she didn't say a single word after that. We get the U-Haul loaded up. We start leaving. I'm driving my car over to the house, and that's where like me and Stephanie have the final words. And she's like, please don't do this. Like, I want like us to work, this and that. I was like, after everything that just happened, you're fucking insane. And I left.
I will say the one thing you don't want to do is piss off both of our parents. Both of them. Because
now
my dad's smart enough not to lay hands on people, but he gets to the point where
he'll instill the fear of God.
Get to the point where you think he's going to.
Now, that is where the story should have ended. That is where I'd like to say we did the meetup, and because that was in the first house. I move in with my roommates in way out in the bumfuck Tatooine. They end up going through a breakup. His ex starts hanging out with Stephanie, bringing her around the house. I'm a drunk, depressed mess. We end up hooking up. I end up getting back together.
Yep.
Which infuriated my parents.
This was all in the same thing.
No.
Jesus fucking Christ, Alex. What is wrong with you?
Yeah.
That's what we asked him many times.
My parents were pissed. And rightfully so, because they put out the $2,000 to just get her to shut up. And so when I moved back in, they were like, what the actual fuck? We move in, we bring in Han Solo as a roommate to like cushion, like to just have extra money to spend and everything. Then we move to the new house, which is where like Han Solo starts hanging out with Garrett. And all of a sudden, like, I thought things were going well. Like, we still were fighting, and I was planning to, like, propose again on Christmas. I was trying, behind the scenes, I was working on getting my parents and her parents to our house for Christmas, because we had like, a nicer house that was decently, like, at
the back door.
And I was going to propose there with, like, both of our families there. It was a whole thing. And she ends up saying, oh, I don't think this is going to work, like, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, let's make this work. So she's like, all right, like, we'll see what happens. Well, then she starts hanging out with these friends from work. And all of a sudden, sketchy shit starts happening. Like, she went to a bar and was there for like 5 hours waiting for her friend to show up. But her other friend, who's a male, was conveniently there. And I was like, hey, I'm not cool with that. Like, that's not cool. And she's like, well, I don't know what the big deal is. We're just like at the bar, blah, 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 blah. Well, fast forward like a month later, she's sleeping with the dude in our house. And
oh, fuck.
It completely broke me. Unfortunately, I didn't have a Lindsay to like, keep me.
You had Garrett and Han Solo.
I had my friends, and they did an amazing job, and I'm not taking that away. But there is a difference between having friends who are like, hey, we're here for you, versus someone like Lindsay who's like, hey, we're going to get through this, and like, I will be your rock.
See, and that's the thing, was at first Lindsay was the friend that was there, because I didn't really have a lot of friends that were taking my side on all this. They all thought I was a piece of shit.
Well, that's because half of them were sleeping with her.
Yeah, probably.
I love that I could just hear him pouring
that
coffee.
was when you guys moved into a new house, all of you.
So,
or no, you guys didn't move out and move into that house yet. We had the meeting, then you guys moved out.
So after the whole thing happened and we officially were done, I was a wreck. I was suicidal, a lot of things. So my friends that I was like Han Solo, another friend, and I think it was just us three, which the group. They decided, they said, hey, for your birthday, because it was around my birthday that this all happened, you need to get away from the house. So we're going to take you into the deserts of Tatooine, and we're going to go camping. I said, okay, sure. Like, getting away from the house would be nice. So that night when we're camping, we're sitting there, and we're talking about Garrett. Han Solo and I, we're talking about D&D and, like, how...
You cut out.
Oh, sorry. We're talking about D&D and shit, and he goes, oh, yeah, like...
Shit.
His headset cut off.
Oh. You there?
Technical difficulties.
We got to wrap it up. My headphones are dying, and I only have one cord to charge it, and it's for my microphone.
Jesus Christ. So they talked to... we're talking in the camp, and he goes, oh, yeah, Garrett is interested in getting into D&D. And I said, Garrett? And he goes, I was like, oh, yeah, like, I love Garrett. Like, bring him in. Like, we can teach him D&D. It's great. And he goes, well, there's one thing you should know. And I said, oh, my God, did I just invite, like, a Make-A-Wish kid, like, to a D&D campaign? Like, what's going on? What's wrong with Garrett?
Got 7 months to live.
Right. And he goes, well, he's kind of Ty's brother. And I was like, who's Ty? Again, because I'm not thinking. Yeah. And he goes, Stephanie's Ty. And I said, oh. And he goes, yeah, he didn't want you to know because he didn't want you to judge him. I was like, I don't give a shit. Like, invite him still. Like, I was like, I'm not going to judge Garrett because of his brother. And then, like,
dick.
Well, and then during that, like, whole breakup thing, shit started making sense. I was sleeping in another room, and I would wake up, and she'd be, like, in that room. And she's like, well, I figured you'd want to, like, cuddle. Like, I do miss you. And I'm like, I admittedly was a complete mental mess. And so I just kind of, like, let it happen.
It's because you're being pulled in both directions. It's not your fault entirely.
And
other than the getting back with her the second, third, and fourth time.
The 8th time. So that's when, like, I talked to Garrett. He had come over, and we were all hanging out, and he's like, oh, yeah, like, I shouldn't be here, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, why? And he goes, oh, because Stephanie's in the house. I was like, dog, if it makes you feel better, just explain to Ty, like, she's on the other side of the house, and we do not have contact with her. Like, I had as little contact with her as possible at that point. And I was like, as a matter of fact, some shit's not adding up. I was like, do you think Ty would ever sit down with me? And he goes, what do you mean? I was like, no beef, no, like, I don't want to fight. I just want to talk to him. Like, can you see if Ty wants to talk? And he goes, I don't know, man. Like, it's not like that. And I was like, just put it out there. If not, like, I respect it, whatever. But I just have questions that I want answered. And he goes, all right, I'll talk to him. And then that's when he hit me back, and he's like, hey, like, Ty agreed to meet.
And we did the infamous meeting at the
cantina meeting.
Generic cantina with a bunch of goofy shit on the walls that serve wings and dollar margaritas. Take your pick, SoCal. So we fucking the whole time me and Lindsay are like, what if this is a fucking setup and get jumped? All right, cool. I didn't have a firearm at the time, but I had a knife. I had a metal baseball bat in my trunk. I was ready to fucking throw down, right?
You brought your wife as backup. I brought my roommate as backup.
I brought my wife because she's a fucking fire pistol, man. She beat everyone's ass, even mine, in the fight. She'd be like, fuck you for bringing me here.
Right.
Right. So we sit there, and
the first hour was awkward as fuck.
I'm sitting down at this table with Lynn, and then all of a sudden, this behemoth, super mutant looking motherfucker walks in. I'm like, who the fuck's this guy? And then she leans over and goes, that's Alex. And I'm all, oh. And then I look at Han Solo. I'm all, hey, Han. And he's like, hey. And I'm all, Alex, I presume? And you're like, yeah. I reach up, shake your hand. You guys sit down. And then it all comes out. Every dirty detail comes out of like, hey, you're not as much of a piece of shit as I thought. And I'm like, hey, great. Thanks. Same.
It got to the point. The first hour was awkward as fuck. Like, it was just like, hey, like.
It was no like beef. That scene in Inglourious Bastards where they're in the bar and they know one of them's an American spy and the other one's like German Nazis. And they're like, fucking. The tension there was just, you could cut it with a butter knife.
Which was funny because you and Lindsay had just recently gotten married. And I remember like the first opening, I was like, oh, I'll ease the tension, hopefully. And I was like, oh, congratulations, first of all, on you guys being married. Like, I'm happy for you guys. And that did not ease the tension at all.
No, it made it weirder because I was like, how the fuck this bitch know I'm married?
Oh, and then that's when it came out. I knew every little detail because Stephanie told me everything.
My life of the past 2-3 years. It was just...
And it got so bad.
Beautiful friendship blossomed
to
where now my wife thinks I'm gay with my best friend.
It got so bad at Applebee's. First of all, let's just get this. We spent 4 hours at that place.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And keep in mind, I was still living with her at the time. Like, we weren't talking, but we were still living. It got to the point where, like, I would start a story and Ty would finish it, or he would start a story and I would finish it.
Oh,
and we found out that while
the convergence was just
while she was with Ty still, we were sleeping together and vice versa, and it was this whole fucked up spider web of stories that all made sense afterwards. And then we decided that we were friends at the end of this. We're like, yeah, dude, you're cool as fuck. I'm cool as fuck. Let's hang out, blah, blah, blah. But we kept it on the down low. I was like, look, we cannot admit this until I get all my shit out of the house because she's vindictive and she'll steal it.
Yes. And I was in full support of that because one of my big fears was when me and her were living together, the TV, PlayStation, all the electronical shit, the real expensive stuff was mine. And I was telling people my sole worry is I can pack a backpack and leave and then just come back and get my stuff in a normal relationship. This one, everything of mine's going to be broken. Everything I've worked hard to spend money on is going to be broken. So
and so that started like a whole week and a half of me taking all my valuables and important stuff and giving it to 2 friends that I was close friends with at the time. And even Ty, I was like, hey, can you just keep this at your house for like a couple days? Yeah. And like, I'll come get it when we move out. And
there were things that I was like, hey, the infamous Jack poster from fucking Vegas, dude. I bought a Jack and Sally, those street vendors where they do the spray paint art and everything. When I went to Vegas with Lynn one time, we went to, no, it wasn't with Lynn. It was a different time I went because I had it when I was, I got it. God damn it. Every time it's a pit in the stomach every time I say it too, and I don't realize it. Sorry,
Stephanie.
We're 2 for 2, Alex. It's okay.
I was gonna say I was so proud of you because it was only 1 for you and 2 for him.
We're 2 for 2. So when I was living with Stephanie, I had this spray paint street vendor art of Jack Skellington and everything from Nightmare Before Christmas. And I loved it. It was awesome. Apparently, it was a gift to her, and I never saw it again. And I remember asking you when we were friends, I'm like, hey, do you still have that? And you're like, yeah, dog, I still got it. And I'm all, that bitch, she took it and gave it to you?
She gave it to me as a gift.
And I was like, this bitch, she just rewrapped my white elephant gift and gave it to him. What the fuck?
There were
now
so
it's in
many
my closet.
things.
I have it still.
There were so many things we found out that she would give me as a gift that were actually Ty's shit. I returned like a full box of shit to him.
Yeah.
But
and I would always have the same reaction. I wonder where that went.
And so here's the best part, though. We moved out to the new house, and that's when the infamous plan struck. Me, Ty, Lindsay, and our friends decided, hey, we're going to throw a house party at the new house because it's, 1, a new house.
Oh, God.
2, it was like freedom for me. And 3, it was the blossoming of a beautiful friendship. And so the day we moved in.
That night sparked everything we've been through since, dude. Oh, my God.
That night that I moved into that new house, I added Lindsay and Ty on Facebook. Seconds after. Why are you friends with Ty? Why are you friends with Lindsay? You know what they did to me. And I was like, maybe that's because you fucking lied about everything. And she, what do you mean? Like, I didn't lie. Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I met with Ty at Applebee's. We are fine. Like, I learned what you did. I learned that you cheated on me. I learned all the lies you did. We're good, dog. And she's like, so you're just going to be friends with him? And I was like, yeah, he's a cool dude. And she goes, this is what I'll never forget. She goes, what if I leave the guy I'm with? Will you stop being friends? And I said, are you trying to get back with me? Like, in order for me to cut off friendship with Ty? And she goes, I'm just asking a question, Alex. And I said, nah, like, he's a cool guy. I'm not going to stop being friends with him. And I said, does the guy you're with know that you're saying this shit? And she goes, yeah. It was a test to see if you're really just friends with Ty or if you're just trying to get back at me. Like, he's sitting right next to me. I was like, no, he's not.
What's so funny about that is I remember when that text conversation was going down, you were shithouse drunk. I was drunk. Garrett's on top of the fridge. And you're outside fucking barbecuing meat. And you're like, oh. And I'm like, you good? And you're like, yeah, I'm fine. It's whatever. It's all done and over with. You put your phone away and you're like, this meat's done. And you put it on a fucking cookie sheet to take it inside. Bitch, it's still bleeding. It was raw as fuck. It was on the grill for like 3 seconds. And I'm like, fuck it, I'm hungry. I'm going to eat something.
Dude, that was the day I felt freedom. I was like, me and Ty are friends. Boom. Fuck it. I put my phone down. I said, I'm done. We're
Dude,
good.
It was so funny. And I remember before all that happened, Lindsay was like, hey, I'm not feeling good. I'm tired. I worked all day. I want to go home and sleep. And I'm like, all right, go ahead. I'll have so-and-so drive me home. They're the DD for these guys. They'll drive me home. Mm-hmm. And she's like, all right, cool. And you walked up. And I got to preface this. It's not that I dislike weed. I used to smoke weed a lot when I was younger. A lot.
I know where this is going.
My wife, it's not that she dislikes weed. It's just she doesn't like that it turns people lazy. Some people, it turns them lazy. Mm-hmm. That's it. That's the sole thing. And I've always understood it as she has forbid me from smoking weed or she's going to leave me kind of thing. At this time, I vaped. I had a vape, and this fucking dude walks up. He's all, hey, try my new vape pen. I'm like, sweet. And I took it and without thinking, and I just, and I hand it back. I'm like, oh, what the fuck? What flavor is that? And you're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, what flavors is that? It tastes like fucking ass. And you're all, it's weed. I'm all, no.
I remember it very different. I remember telling you that it was weed.
You told me weed after I ripped it,
I don't
dude.
think
I was so scared. I texted Lindsay and I'm like, hey, Alex didn't tell me this was weed and I just ripped it. I'm so sorry. And she's like, it's all right. You're fine.
Hold on.
Don't do any more because you got to come home. And I'm like, okay, I love you.
And he's just sitting on my couch.
Just what the fuck?
Like, Ty, are you good? He goes, yeah, man.
I was
good.
crossfaded as shit that night, and I was like, this is not going to end well. And then 10 minutes later, Garrett's trying to climb on top of the fridge.
Why was he on
and over the fence?
He's trying to get on the
all
fridge.
gone to hell.
Because he was
I don't
drunk.
know. No one knows, other than the fact that he was drunk and he looked at someone and said, bet, and did it.
Was that the same?
So he is the king of committing to the bit.
Was that the same night that Han Solo and Garrett were fucking fighting?
Yes,
yeah, and I have the
floor.
infamous Snapchat where he says, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Killing Solo," and Pyle drives him to the floor. But I knew it was gonna be a good friendship, because at first I was just like, "Oh, he's just we're just friends for revenge." And then right before that conversation between Stephanie and I had about us being friends, that night, like a couple nights before, I get a knock at the door. All my roommates are gone, so I'm like, "Who the fuck is knocking?" Like, someone forget their key, and I open the door, and it's just Ty with a fucking 6-pack, and he goes, "Hey man, like, I was like just checking in on you. Like, I know how rough that breakup can be. Like, I was wondering if you wanted to talk." And we sat there for like a couple hours drinking a 6-pack, just talking. And I was like, "This is gonna be my homie."
Yep. Been brothers ever since.
Oh, yeah.
Look at us now, starting a podcast where we talk shit
for almost 3 hours.
Yeah. Well, it's a good thing. It's our 10th episode. People are asking for the story of the saga.
It's fucked up a few times. It
had to come out.
Alex more than others,
but
we didn't fuck up. Editing magic.
Oh no, I was talking about in your life.
Hollywood
That's
magic.
That's why I said Alex more than others.
Oh, 100%. There were so many red flags that I ignored because I was just.
And just a preference too. It hurt me because I witnessed everything, and Stephanie did not treat me she treated me nice when Alex was around or watching, but when Alex turned his back, she did not treat me well.
See, I'm better than that. I talk shit to you when Alex is here and when Alex is gone.
At least you have the nerve to fucking
the fucked up
call me a bitch to my face.
During that breakup, like, she had isolated me. I was in a town that I knew very little people. I was lucky to make the friends that I did, and they were amazing. They got me through, along with a lot of family. But like, I had cut so many good friends out of my life because she didn't like them, and she kind of was like, it's either me or them. And me being head over heels in love, Ty can vouch for this. She had a very good way of manipulating you into thinking like she was the only one that you could trust.
She was right and you were wrong, regardless of your thoughts or opinion.
It got to the point where I kind of had to relearn being an adult, because like she wouldn't let you sign for shit. She wanted to make sure like you had to rely on
you
her.
Had Stockholm syndrome.
It's it's like cults. It's what cults do to people once they fully take that step into being a cult.
And so there was a lot of like reaching out that I had to do to friends and saying like, I'm so sorry. Like, and a lot of my friends, thankfully, like, were like, hey dude, like, you're good. Like, we're just glad you're okay. But through all that pain and struggle, I wouldn't change it for the world, because I got Ty out of it and I got some really good friends out of it.
You got me, my wife, your goddaughter. You got it all, buddy.
And I remember like the first time we all hung out, Lindsay was like, we wanted to tell you so bad. We wanted to tell you to run.
Every time Lindsay was like, I feel so bad. I just want to pull him by his shirt. Be like, just leave. Run. It's okay.
Go away.
Like, it's not going to work. He's got to learn. He's got to learn the hard way.
I would have been like, you're crazy. Like, what the fuck?
Well, and especially with what her position was at the time.
Mm-hmm. So, but that was the infamous Stephanie saga. And now we're forming the League of Evil Exes.
No.
If anyone wants to join.
Which one of us is going to be Gideon and which one of us is going to be the...
You're Gideon because you're the original. You have to be Gideon. I want to be...
Are you going to be Todd?
Is that the one with vegan powers?
Yeah, the one with vegan powers.
I don't know that I want to be a soy boy,
vegan
though.
Diet, no vegan powers.
No, I'm Chris.
No vegan diet, no vegan powers.
I'm Chris's character.
Chris Evans?
The fucking
Luke.
Luke.
Yes,
No.
it's Luke.
Is it
Yeah,
Luke?
Lucas.
Lucas. You don't know about the league? Oh, forget about it, man. You're good. Come on. We'll go get a lesson.
Boom! Hilarious.
Lucas Lee.
Now I want to go
He's
watch
like-
that movie.
Oh, it's so good.
It's such a good
he's
movie.
like, oh yeah, can you do
Prepare
a
to feel the wrath.
a thingy over there? He's all, it's called a grind, bro. Can you do a grindy thingy over there? Of course I can. He shows his tattoo. I have my own skate company.
But to everyone who's still listening through this very long episode, we hope you enjoyed it, and now you understand how we all became friends.
Now you can I'm glad you guys were able to take a peek behind the curtain, understand us more as people instead of just a guy on the other side of a screen. And
if you like these kind of episodes, like we'll find other like weird shit.
we'll turn certain episodes into therapy sessions if you guys enjoy them.
Hell yeah. But with that, your headset's dying. Hunter's sick. We'll leave it off with a question. What is today's? I don't know what today's question could be.
What story you want us to talk about next? How about that?
What?
Let them decide.
Let's see if they can use the power of deduction. Where is Mos Eisley?
No, don't do that. Because that's where like the weird internet guys come in and be like, "Oh, we know exactly who they were talking about.
We know your
have their
IP
number."
address.
Yeah.
How about let them choose the next category as well? Next topic.
Yeah.
you
What's
guys
the?
choose-
How about this? What do you want episode 20 to be about?
Long time ago.
Oh, I was thinking the next episode, the week after this one.
Oh, I was thinking like what the next. We could do like every 10 episodes is like a big one.
Okay, yeah, we could do that.
Every 10 episodes, it might raise to higher because that might be a lot. But what's the next big episode you guys want to hear? What do you want to learn about us? What do you want us to talk about? And we'll put it together. But
Yeah.
we appreciate all of you guys' time. Hope you enjoyed listening to us on the toilet.
Hope you had a good
I
poop.
hate it so much.
Hope you had
And
a
don't
good poop.
worry, we're gonna get rid of Mothman in the background.
No.
Yes.
No.
Apparently, it's very unsettling to people to see us talking and then Mothman just in the background.
No.
Jesus Christ.
Well, okay. So I keep trying to make the image, but I keep trying to say like put a hidden Mothman somewhere in there, and they just keep putting Mothman. I'm like, all right, well, fuck it. Who said it was unsettling?
A couple people.
I'll fuck them up.
You're gonna fuck up my wife? I don't think you can do that.
No.
I don't think that's allowed.
No, I actually.
We
like
just talked
Lindsay.
about how good friends we are. We can't ruin it by you beating my wife over Mothman.
That's
I
my
will
Lord
have
and
to say-
Savior.
You gotta play Fallout 76. Fucking Cult of Mothman.
Other than Stephanie, of course. Here's a bonus question. If there was a guest person on the show, who would you want us to
And
get?
then my favorite surprise co-host on my podcast,
I'm done with you too.
We should get Pop in here for an episode.
Pop or Garrett. I know Garrett would
Yep.
be funny as shit.
Oh,
Garrett would be
dude,
so
Garrett
chaotic.
could That's episode 20. We get Garrett's perspective on all of it.
Oh my god, no!
And every 10
shit.
episodes is a new perspective.
Oh, dude, that would be kind
That's
of cool.
The cinematic
Into the
universe.
Stephanie-verse.
It just evolves into this big ass universe. We get a show on it. It's gonna be great.
That's fucking terrible. All
right, guys.
Well, hope you guys have a good Memorial Day.
Check us out on Spotify. We are now on Spotify. Like, comment, and subscribe. It helps us out, get us out there to more people. And we love you guys, and we appreciate your time.
Ta-ta for now.